The quiet people aren't quiet because they have nothing to say usually. It's more about one of two things. They're either calculating, or number two, they know that anything that they say is likely to not really help the situation because the people on the receiving end don't really understand what exactly it is that they're trying to say. And why waste your value of your words on people that don't even want to understand you anyway? That's the weird thing about people sometimes is they will be so hell-bent on intentionally misunderstanding you that the only thing that you can do, the only option that you have, is to be silent. And if you're silent for too long, that drives them crazy. You give them the fire of silence and quietness, because it is going to be like an echo chamber in that silence for them. For the people that are silent, the people that are quiet, it's really freeing. It's really a freeing time, and it's really a freeing situation. But for them, they're going to be put through a baptism of fire, because more often than not, they know what they did to you. The quiet people are not just quiet for no reason. Now, I'm a very quiet person out in the community, but I also like to communicate, and I don't think that it's healthy for you to stay quiet for too long. Because if you really want to, let's say, make money, or you want to network with people that are more on your level, you have to be open to communication, and sometimes you got to be the one to start that. Even romantic situations and relationships, right? You have to be the one to initiate that sometimes. And I've had people that just cannot figure me out because of my quietness. You're quiet and they just can't figure you out, and it's driving them crazy. But that's where you really have to let them sit in the fire. You have to let them sit in that fire and the pain of not even knowing what's happening. Sometimes it's better for you to remain a mystery than to reveal your cards to people that don't really care about where you're going or what you're doing anyway. Because the only thing that they care about, I've had a lot of people ask me this. It's like, why do people watch you, right? Why do people try to make it seem like they're more interested in your life than they really are? Well, because they're just trying to get information. They don't really need that information. They just have certain devils that they haven't dealt with. And you're the person that just so happens to be on the receiving end. And you've got to now deal with their BS. But the good thing is, and the good news is that especially if you're a chosen one, and when I mean that, I don't mean, oh, I'm chosen. Oh, I'm chosen. No. I mean you are a legitimate chosen one, meaning that you follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High to the best of your ability, and you are a peculiar people. The Bible says that the chosen ones, the chosen people, God's chosen people, are going to be a peculiar people. And they are going to be peculiar under the ones that are not righteous. And I cannot tell you how many times I've been told that people just can't figure me out. Or they know who I am, they know what I am. They're like, I had somebody tell me a few weeks back, he's like, man, you really are not obligated to anybody, are you? And he was kind of joking, but he was also kind of really asking the question. And in the laws of power, 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, not committing to anyone is actually one of those laws of power. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't commit to anybody, But I'm not saying that the best way to live, because I don't know, I can't tell you the best way to live. I'm not God. But what I can tell you is what's worked for me based off of my personal experience, and what's not worked for me based off of my personal experience, and how fulfilled I am now. I'm to a place to where I am spiritually fulfilled and I enjoy my life. Here I am in the middle of the day, right after lunch, in the sunshine, talking with you guys. And it's actually pretty warm, you know. It's a little bit warmer than I thought it would be. But it's nice, you know. It's nice to feel the warmth of the sun again. I'm probably going to do some more work after this and finish up what I've got going on as far as a project. And then I'll do a little bit of gardening. I'm going to plant some more pinto beans. I've already got some pinto beans planted, but I'm going to plant some more for outside. I've got a few I planted inside and they're beginning to sprout already. But I wanted to see if there was going to be a difference between the outside and the inside. But you know, I live a pretty peaceful life. Yeah, you know, it can be very crazy. And I get a lot of hate mail or hate messages and such, you know, from the work that I do. But overall, you know, I know I'm fighting the good fight. I know that I'm living for spirit and truth. So, you know, take that for what it is. But your silence, you know, your silence is really going to be something more than a tool. It's going to be something that can be a way of life for you. Whenever things get a little bit too like wonky, like let's say you're purposely being confused, like somebody's trying to confuse you or gaslight you or manipulate you, and you know this, like you know this, but you're not quite sure how to respond. Sometimes the best response is just simply silence, because that's what a lot of people respond to, especially women. Women respond most and best to silence and distance. It doesn't make sense to me either, but I know it works. Like it for all the men out there. Because men, you know, we're different. We're like, oh, there's a problem, let's communicate about it. Whereas with women, sometimes they just want you to listen to it. They don't need you to solve the problem. They just want you to listen about it, or just, you know, agree and amplify. And, you know, that's a different topic altogether, but you get the point here. Man, that sun is really warm. It's getting kind of cooking now, but it feels good. But anyway, so being in this mode of being, in this operation, and this mechanism in which you can fulfill your life by remaining non-attached. I want to talk a bit about the difference between being detached and being non-attached. Being detached is, from a semantic point of view that I'm taking, is more along the lines of apathy and being apathetic. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend being apathetic, but non-attachment is more of a stoic approach. And for those that are in the Regal Change Academy that we have as the group community, you guys will know from the Legends of Stoicism that non-attachment doesn't mean not feeling emotions or not having a sense of care and nourishment for those emotions or the people around you. It's more about letting them pass. And the analogy that I always give is like leaves on a stream. You know, think about like all these leaves on the trees, right? In the fall, when they fall down, and let's say there's a river nearby. Well, there actually is a river nearby, but for metaphorical purposes, there's a river and the leaves start to fall. the leaves on the river are more like your thoughts and emotions. And just being able to sit on the bench or a chair next to the river and watch them pass, that's meditation right there. And that's the essence of non-attachment. So I would encourage you to be non-attached. And this will help you stay more calculated as well. This will help you be more clear-minded. And another thing about being clear-minded is having the right people around you, having healthy relationships with the people around you. I'm not saying that you should just be a recluse. In fact, I detest that mindset. I detest being a lone wolf. Even though I can't relate to a lot of the people, like I've made a video yesterday titled, I can't really relate to a lot of people anymore. That's true. But I still love people. And I'm still going to try to relate to people. I'm going to try to do so because I have to keep my heart open as a child of God and as a follower of Christ. I have to keep my heart open. If I don't do so, then I'm going to be sabotaging my own proclivity toward growth and my own proclivity toward evolution. This whole life is about how to evolve. And, well, do we want to go on the deep end for a second? Let's go on the deep end for a second. Let's explore this territory. So, I follow Christ. But let's say reincarnation is real. Like you've lived multiple lives. I'm not saying this is the proper way to think. I'm not saying that this is the best way to think. I'm just saying let's entertain this idea without accepting it, as Aristotle would say, right? So if we were to entertain this idea without accepting it and follow it to its logical conclusion about reality, where would we be? Okay. Well, biblically, I have not seen any kind of scripture that would discount the idea of reincarnation. Now, if somebody wants to put a scripture down, please do so. Because I don't think that's, I've yet to see anything like that anyway. Well, let's take it for what it is. That means the decisions that you've made in past lives are affecting this current life. Well, but why care about those past lives? You don't need to really. Even if reincarnation is real, you don't need to care. You don't need to care about those past lives. All you need to really care about is how you're going to make the decisions going forward. So, living in the past is an insult to not only yourself, but to God. It's not a sin to reflect on the past, but to live in the past absolutely is a sin. Because you're discrediting your intelligence, and you're also letting yourself be mastered by things outside of your control, which is not stoic by any stretch of the imagination. So now let's say that reincarnation isn't real. Well, the same laws apply. The same rules apply. It doesn't matter what you're doing in the past. What matters is who you're choosing to be going forward. And that's why us quiet people, we strategize, we calculate. We're not just dilly-dillying around, doing whatever our hearts desire. We are recognizing our own worth and the worth of our words, and seeing that some people are just not meant to have that worth. And healthy relationships too, by the way. You don't need to be talking to people 24/7 to have a healthy relationship. In fact, the best relationships that I've had, especially with women, is when I'm only talking to them once or twice a week, and we're having good conversations. But I would say you know, they, to be romantic about it, if you wanted to enter into a romantic relationship, I would say you need to go 3 to 4 times a week, if not maybe 5. Let's say 3 to 5 times a week, 30 minutes to an hour of conversation each day. That I think would be very healthy for you. 3 to 5 times a week, half an hour to an hour each day of communication. Because women want to talk to you. Women want to communicate with you. And it's fine for you to be the silent guy. Like, anybody seen Up? I just thought about Up. I haven't seen Up for years. And I only saw it one time, so I might be forgetting exactly what happens. But in the beginning, it's like they're kids, right? It's like they're kids, and it's the story about the man and the wife. It's like this more short animated, well, it is an animated film, but it's like the short presupposition to the actual movie. And it's the story of how he got to where he's at. And part of that is just his wife dies, right? His wife dies, but they met when they were kids. And the guy, when they were kids, was just super quiet. And the girl comments and says, you're kind of quiet, or you're really silent, or whatever. I like you. You know, just because the woman wants to be able to talk, and she wants to feel heard and listened to. If you're an active listener, I you know, maybe this is something else to talk about in the future, but active listeners are going to be rewarded the most for their endurance in communication, because, and from God in communication, because active listeners, they know how to respond properly to the best of their ability. And it takes real skill to do that. It takes real ability to do that. Because if you don't know how to actively listen, then you're going to be very much inclined to be sporadic or neurotic in your communication style. And that's not going to be very beneficial for anybody. It's not going to be very helpful for anybody. But if you can take the time to appreciate what you have in this life, and you can take the time to appreciate what people have to say and how they're saying it, and read the body language accordingly, you're going to be able to do a lot of good things, and you're going to be able to make people feel seen and heard in a way they've never felt before. And that is how you change people's lives, really, is making them feel seen and heard in a way that they've never been seen or heard before. But anyways, guys, I think we got enough of what I wanted to say in this video to be talked about. I hope that this was a useful and insightful video for you. Man, that sun is warm. Whew. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. You know, it's probably only like 65, 70 degrees, but Fahrenheit, that is. But considering we've been under 55 degrees on average, probably between 15 to 45, 55 degrees for the last like 6 months here in the mountains. Whew. But you know, the summers here are always really nice. And I love the mountains. And man, I just thought of something. This is kind of a random thought, but I love this city that I'm in. It's not too urban, but it's not too rural either. You know, it's a pretty good mix. So you've got all the amenities that you need, but I mean, if you want to go camping or something, it's only like 15, 20 minutes away, and I don't think you really need to move to a big place to have success. I've had more success here in living in this town and just, you know, working, because I've been working remote pretty much my whole like last 5 years, really. Since right before COVID, actually. We actually moved, the company that I was working at before, they they actually had us move to remote work before COVID. And so I'm pretty used to working remote, but like I said, I'm able to garden. I'm able to live peacefully, and I'm able to do my own thing and really make proper investments in myself and my resources. So not really any complaints there. But I hope this video was useful and insightful for you. And if you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, the elite group of spiritual people that we've got, where the newer people that have signed on, we had somebody the other day, he said that it was almost surreal to be around people like this. And I think that's just a testament to the power of having a true godly community, is that you just feel lifted after those calls. We have 3 weekly calls usually for that academy, and one's a Bible study, one's the Maps of the Psyche class, and then one's a Regal Assembly call that's more of a general call where we talk about anything and everything. And if you do want to join the Telegram, we have a free Telegram channel, the Regal Change Insights channel. Everything in there will be auto-deleted after 24 hours. So make sure to check that out before anything gets deleted. Write it down in a journal or whatnot if you find it valuable or useful. And I hope you have a blessed day. Stay blessed out there, everybody. Peace be with you. Until next time.